Elon Musk has now confirmed that they have doubled the size of the full self-driving beta fleet to around 2,000 vehicles. Although, just to be clear, about a week ago he said that by the end of next week there would be a full self-driving beta button, and also clarified that that button meant that anybody who agreed to the terms and conditions and fully accepted the risk of being a beta tester would be allowed in. That button has not rolled out yet, and because it's Elon time, it might be a couple weeks more than we expect. But an interesting point that a lot of people did not see coming is Elon said they also have removed some people from the beta list based on irresponsible testing. In other words, if they're spending too much time not looking at the road or not keeping their hands on the wheel. I haven't seen any content creators that are normally posting FSD beta videos say that they have been removed yet, but I guess they removed a few. And the most interesting part about this news to me was how they figured out if you were irresponsible or not. Elon actually confirmed in replying to someone else's tweet that they can see based on the cabin camera whether or not you're paying attention. So Green the Only found some code a few months back alluding to the idea of the software actually looking at your face and your eyes in order to tell whether or not you were paying attention, but we never really knew for sure if that was actually being utilized or if that was just beta code or being tested internally. Now it sounds like if you're on the beta program, Tesla can see you. So if you don't want to get that beta permission removed, I would make sure you're doing this very, very carefully. And it's a good move, I might add. It's just for privacy's sake, I wonder if they should have disclosed that when people join the beta. Like, hey, by the way, that interior cabin camera is on and we can see it. So if you're going to be horsing around when you're trying to do these self-driving beta tests, make sure you're ready to take over, because if you're not, we will tell and we can put you in full self-driving jail, I guess, to a certain extent. I don't know what the duration is of being kicked off the beta or how long you're going to be off the beta, but the main reason I was somewhat excited to find out that they were using the interior cabin camera was my hope in the future. I don't know if it's technically possible with the detail the cabin camera has or how the software is able to interpret the interior cabin space, is that in the future, as we are doing more beta tests and as laws and regulators still technically require you to be ready to take over the vehicle in a moment's notice, instead of requiring you to tug on the steering wheel a little bit to remind the car that you're still paying attention, maybe they could just start looking at your eyes. I know that there are several other autonomous driving systems on the road today that do rely on eye tracking instead of tugging on the steering wheel, but knowing Tesla technically has the hardware makes me think that in the future they could roll out an update that says, hey, even if you're not touching the steering wheel but you're just kind of sitting there with your eyes on the road, the camera will be able to detect that and it won't request you to take over. I think that would be a lot more convenient and a lot more seamless of an experience if you weren't having to constantly grab the steering wheel, because in my point of view, it's like, if I'm gonna have my hands on the steering wheel anyway, is it really that much better than just driving the car in the first place? I know it is simply for adaptive cruise control, but in my opinion, it would be great if we don't hit level 5, okay, for whatever reason, or that level 5 is way further away than we think it is, but we still get to just sit in the car, keep our hands to our side or keep our hands crossed, and we just keep our eyes on the road and we look around, and whenever the car asks us to look forward, it just has to have a clear view of our eyes. Maybe they're hesitant to do that because people could be putting on sunglasses or driving at night and it's hard to tell which way they're looking. So I could totally understand why Tesla decides maybe not to go forward with that, but to me that would make the autonomous driving future feel a whole lot more passive than kind of the babying we have to treat it with today. But another interesting point that Elon brought up, saying that the next big update for the full self-driving beta would be rolled out next month, was he said it's going all in on vision, meaning that the next full self-driving beta will not even utilize radar on the vehicles, which hardware-wise, radar is still there. They just want to see how well the software can perform when radar is not being taken into consideration, possibly because Elon wants a future where they don't have to keep buying radar sensors and they can skip that step in manufacturing, save on some cost, lower the complexity of the vehicle. But I'm sure a lot of people out there are wondering, why the heck would you design the software to work without radar? Even if radar is already there across all your vehicles, why not take advantage of it? But I do have to kind of side with Elon on this one, that if you truly do solve the vision problem and your full self-driving computer and the suite of camera sensors can accurately know what's around it at all times, then yeah, radar would be kind of redundant and unnecessary and kind of sending repetitive lines of code to the computer that the vision-based reality should be capable of detecting, right? Like, if your camera sensors are unable to tell that there is an object in front of you, then the full self-driving beta is probably not going to work as it should anyway. So, in my opinion, taking away radar from your data set in these full self-driving beta tests is kind of the equivalent of taking off your training wheels on a bicycle, because you should be able to ride without those. Yeah, it makes you a bit safer to have those extra wheels on the back, but in the long term, you're going to want to ride with just 2 wheels, no training wheels in the back. And if they feel confident enough that the vision-based computational side of things is strong and doesn't need radar as a backup anymore, then yeah, that's another big step forward. And of course, long term, Tesla might start deciding that even radar is unnecessary, and you just need about 8 to 10 cameras surrounding the car, and the car should be able to drive itself. Of course, there can be issues with the camera. Stuff can get covered up, and you have less failure points to back up on, so I'm sure companies like Waymo would be against removing hardware from the full self-driving programming, but I like the way Tesla thinks. I like how they try to push themselves harder, and I think this rollout is going to be very, very interesting in the coming weeks, as it soon sounds like anybody's going to be able to join it, and hopefully no one gets into any accidents. So far, it appears that thousands of people are using it and probably have collectively driven over 1 million miles, and we haven't heard of any car crashes because of the beta happen yet. It's inevitable. It will probably happen at some point, but as long as Tesla is able to prove that driving with the FSD beta results in significantly less accidents than the average human driver, I think they'll be able to roll it out to lots of vehicles, and regulators won't really have a great case as to why they shouldn't if it's statistically being proven safer than the average driver. So please let me know what you guys think is going to happen with this beta rollout, and would you like the interior cabin to be the way of verifying that someone is paying attention? All that good stuff, let me know. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.